Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Richard, founder of Short-Term Rental University and professional real estate investor. And today I'm absolutely thrilled because we are here with one of my early followers and good friends and somebody who I enjoy your company, and you're always in the Facebook group, thriving, bringing everyone up. And so I so appreciate you making the trip to visit Eric and I here in Palm Springs. Ladies and gentlemen, the hostess with the mostest, CL Reed. There you go.
I got number one fan. I'm your number one.
Well, you should say that.
I am your number one.
I'm your number one fan.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so
Richard.
much. So I think it'd be really awesome for the audience to hear a little bit about sort of your story. What brought you to Airbnb? How long ago? I know a little bit about your business, but we'd like to tease that out over the story. So when did you get started and how?
So
and why?
I signed up in 2009 because it sounded like an interesting concept. And I had a house with a lot of empty rooms and thought, okay, I can do this. But I had a young daughter at home and decided, okay, maybe not the direction I want to go in right now. So I signed up, remained dormant. Years sped forward. My daughter went to college and started Airbnb-ing her apartment when she would come home for Christmas or holidays or whatever.
College, like dorm or not?
Well, her apartment. She had an apartment. Her second year, I think she got into an apartment. And she said, Mom, you should do this. It's nice little extra money. It's for fun. I'm not using my room. Do it. And I thought, okay, now's the time. And I started doing it, and I haven't looked back.
And so how long have you been hosting it?
It will be 3 years. I'm just about at 3 years for hosting short-term rental versus I've had a couple long-term renters in some of the other rooms that I have. And I also owned a separate property that I was a long-term landlord for. So.
And do you still own that other property?
I do not. I do not.
You sold it?
I sold it for 2.5 times what I purchased it for. Yeah.
Love it. Congratulations.
Great. That was great.
Yeah, it's amazing. So the property that you currently own, tell us a little bit about where it is, and I know about it, so a little bit about the niche and your target audience and some of the things that you've learned in and around Short-Term Rental University. Maybe you can tell us how you even found us.
So when I knew I needed support, I would always call my daughter and say, okay, well, what about this? Well, how do I do this? Well, what if this happens? And she was very helpful and she held my hand through it. But then there were some questions that she couldn't answer. And I knew I needed professional answers or more experienced host answers. And I started looking around on Facebook to join groups to get some more information. And I stumbled upon your videos. And I started watching them religiously, just one behind the other. While I was working on my other business, I would just have it playing in the background. And then I started tuning into the group and asking group questions. And people were very responsive and very helpful and very, what I needed was my hand held. And you as the leader of the group and your team, Hardik and the other individuals and Charles and then people in the group were very nurturing in that way. And no question was too small or ridiculous or whatever. So I just stuck in the group and then I started participating in the group.
And now you're really participating.
Now I'm really I'm so into the group that people see me as a mentor, which I get a kick out of. I love it. And I say, oh, call me, text me. I want to help you. And they're like, for free? And I'm like, yeah, the group helped me. Richard helped me. I just want to pay that back. Yeah. So when I do have time, because now I'm busier, I do really love, just engaging with people. And because of the group, I've made other relationships with other like-minded people from the group. And yeah, hi Andy Chu.
Andy, shout out. And so the second part of the question is, tell us a little bit about the strategy that you have in your existing Airbnb and who the target audience is and the niche.
So currently where I am located is called Perris, California. Excuse me, and it's literally 2.6 miles to the #1 skydiving drop zone in the country, which is called Skydive Perris. People come there from all around the world because it's a beautiful place. They run it top notch, and they have a great landing amount of landing space. A lot of places don't have large landing spaces, or they're over water, or the place is not run very well. And Skydive Airbnb, their number one goal is safety.
Yeah.
And training.
Well, that's a good thing.
It's a great thing. So people love to come there, and because of that, it's a very small town that is growing. People would come to town to find a place to stay, and there wasn't anything available. At the time when I started, there was one other home in the area that only rented entire home. Well, skydivers, the sport is extremely expensive, and they're cheap. So they'd rather, as far as sleeping arrangements, they would rather spend their money to skydive and on equipment than on sleeping arrangements. So they'll sleep in their car. There is one local motel in our area. It's kind of like the no-tell motel. And when people discovered that I had opened an Airbnb finally, it was like planes waiting to land at LAX. They were stacked up. Just, do you have a room? Do you have a space? Amazing. Can I sleep on your couch? That was the first 2 years.
Right.
Going into the third year, it's kind of tapered off a bit. Is there a number of reasons for that? The weather, we've had, I think, 3 Airbnbs open in my area recently, possibly. There are a number of factors. So I'm waiting for water to seek its own level.
Right.
I believe, once people, they'll come back home. They'll realize I'm the best host in the area and come back home after they've tried the others.
There's no doubt about it. And it's just a matter of time. It's being patient, and that's why it's so important to be connected to your why, because if you're impatient or it's just about the money, then you might close up shop right before the opportunity presents itself, right? It's like, we've all heard this before about it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? When you own real estate and you're in the Airbnb space, from an owner's perspective, you have a 30-year mortgage, for instance. Your decision-making has to be aligned with that 30-year time horizon. You can't be making instantaneous decisions on a 30-year asset, right? And so you need to have enough wiggle room and enough financial strength and have it be connected to your why. But what's really interesting, and you and I started speaking, I think it was earlier this year, January, February, if I recall, you came to me, you sought some advice. You were having some.
Don't forget the in-tears part.
Well, I don't remember.
I was like, Richard, what's going on?
I don't remember the in-tears, but I do remember that you reached out to me in a time of need, and I was really happy to help and was there for you, and we crafted a plan. And why don't you share with the audience what that plan sort of looked like to get you additional bookings or more revenue when you were having this difficulty?
So you encouraged me to be patient and to calm down, breathe, and to just think of it from a different perspective. It is what it is. The house is on a cement foundation. It's not going anywhere. The skydiving niche, which I think is awesome. And I was telling Erica earlier that I would like to expand on that. Just like you're doing OBX for a particular group, I'd like to do that as well in skydiving. There are great people, wonderful to host. I actually love hosting, which I didn't realize that I've been doing for years since I've owned the home, was hosting other people, other family members, whatever. And I love doing it. And
I bet you're great at it, right? Like, as I've got to know you, and of all the people in the Facebook group and all the people that I've gotten to know, there's something about you that I think is a great hostess.
I appreciate that.
Right? Like, just warm and caring and sincere and ever present and communicative and friendly and approachable. Like, if I could dream up my dream hostess, you embody it.
I appreciate that. I find that other hosts maybe even more so than me. Like, I may not, I take that back. I had a young lady that flew in, college young lady, landed at night, came into the train station. I went, don't move. I'm coming to get you. Because I have to think of my daughter maybe having had that experience coming in late at night to a place she didn't know. So yeah, I guess I am.
Yeah, no, I think you really care.
Yeah, I guess I can. But I love it. So the problem that I had that I came to you with was that it had slowed down, that it wasn't growing as I expected it to grow as it had done in the first 2 years. I guess it takes a year to 3 years to see what your market and your area is doing and how it's going to continue to perform or not. It wasn't something that I was willing to give up, because you just gave me all kinds of scenarios to think about, and what's your why? Why won't you give it up? Why are you hanging on to it? Why are you staying here? And then you said, branch out. And I was like, oh, that's an option? And you said, yes. What about co-hosting? What about co-host somewhere else? You can do this. I was like, can I really?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
I was shocked that that was an option. Yeah.
Yeah, I shared with you that you should consider co-hosting because you're such a great hostess, because you didn't have the ability to financially move, or you didn't want to move, or you didn't have the opportunity to buy another place. And so you sort of, in your own mind, and no disrespect to any of us, we all have our own self-limiting beliefs, but in your own mind, you were, trapped in this square space and you didn't know how to move out of it. And all I did was like take down a wall and say, wait a minute, you can co-host anywhere you want in the world. Pick a place that you like to visit. Pick a place that you've got friends, like whatever. Pick a place.
And that seemed obvious to
right.
me. It was obvious to you. To me, it was foreign.
But
I thought,
therein lies the opportunity, right? It's like when you go outside of your comfort zone, it is foreign. It's very foreign. But then we came up with, and CL and I were joking right before we started filming this, she's really very meticulous and super concerned about the what and the how and what and how and what and how. And I just literally said to her, we're not at the what and the how. Let's just stick with the why for a minute here. Let's focus on that. And so in that discussion about co-hosting, when that light bulb went off, then you immediately came back with, well,
the what
how?
And how? What and how?
Right. How am I going to find somebody? Who's going to hire me? What? How? Right? And so how do we approach that?
And do you just like smack yourself on your forehead and go, Crystal, stop it? But I had been co-hosting on a smaller scale. Like when people went on vacation, I would manage their properties. And, if a friend said, could you just watch this for me for a while? I need a break, that kind of thing. I hadn't moved into the take it over. Find an owner, take it over, and let them sit back and relax. So you opened that door up to me, and I got into that, and I'm excited, and I love it. And that's another reason why I'm here. Thank you for this opportunity, visiting you guys, because a couple of the co-hosting properties that I have are in Palm Springs, so it's two birds.
Perfect.
Yeah, it works.
But to provide a little bit more clarity for the audience that's watching, I recall you had really self-limiting beliefs about who would hire you and how are you going to find them and why would they hire you, and not like all these reasons why this was a real challenge. And of course it's a real challenge if you have that mindset. And we started to just break it down a little bit. And I don't remember what the exact homework assignment was, but basically I asked CL to reach out to everyone in her network.
Oh, I can tell you what you told me.
Pay it forward. Someone is going to benefit from this.
I don't know if I'd take this route, but I did it. You gave me homework to make up a list and to set a number of how many people, who I was going to reach out to, and how many per day. And then I think my number was 250 that I told you between a certain time, between emails, phone calls, networking events, which I host, and I do these things for other people, but I wasn't doing it for me, these kind of things for myself. I said my number was 250. I didn't make the number, but then I went back and made the number. But through that, knew many real estate agents, started reaching out to them, and one in particular, Karen Toddy of Exit Realty, introduced me to a gentleman that I had known 30 years ago who had a property out here, who was seeking to sell or property manage. And I started with him, and then he in turn has directed me to 3 or 4 other people. And then it's network, and it's what is it called? When attraction, law of attraction, right? And just being able to talk it out with Richard and Erica, and getting out of my head and having someone else state the obvious. But through that property, we had a gentleman come into town who was looking for property, and I had marketing materials around, and he picked it up and he goes, do you do property management? And I said, yes. And he says, well, I'm buying a property here that I need managed. So that, and the other owner didn't have a problem with, he's like, no, I want you to get all the business you can get. You win, we all win. And it's just growing exponentially.
So let me try and highlight a couple things that I just heard underscore them for lessons and so on. So the first thing is about the mindset and the self-limiting beliefs, and I spend an awful lot of time on this, and the reason I do is because it's important and it makes a difference. CL could have maintained the same mindset that she had, and she'd still have her one place, but instead we pushed her out of her comfort zone. When she was uncomfortable outside of the comfort zone, we just laid a very linear path, make 250 phone calls and emails or whatever. And here's a lesson that's really important. I just said it earlier today, and I'm going to start saying this more and more because it's so true. A no is as good as a yes. So if you call somebody and they say no, that's wonderful. Cross them off your list, move on to the next one. No, no, no. If you know that you have to make 100 phone calls for every yes, then you make 99 calls that get to no, and you know you're that much closer to the yes, but you know that the yes is there, and it proved positive here. We got the yes, she knew that she could host, or co-host rather, and then another really important thing that I teach about all the time, momentum moved in. The self-limiting belief that she couldn't do this and she couldn't find people, a new belief came in and said, I am doing this and I can do this and people pay me and I do it really well. And now the law of attraction, she's being referred and she's going to continue to grow. But the funny thing is, it's the same CL, right? Like nothing much has actually changed except for the way that she perceived herself and the way that she perceived her capabilities and her confidence and forward momentum. And it just grows and it continues to grow. And so I think, it sounds really obvious or there's not much to learn there, but that's a huge difference.
So, well, there's two takeaways for me. One is, and as Eric and I were talking earlier over chocolate croissants and coffee.
I was working.
We were working.
Okay.
We were
so
working.
Share with us what's
we were
going
working.
Chocolate croissant. Huh?
Oh, sorry. I did say I was. Oh,
there we go.
I just blew my friendship.
No, it's great. Listen, it's all out in the open.
We learned that the skill is within us.
Okay.
The talent is within us. The ability is within us. We just have to believe it. And maybe we need somebody else to point it out and bring it out.
Totally.
But it's here. We've got it. The other thing for me, though, is I might have to do a check-in. Richard, Erica, I'm kind of feeling like I'm backsliding, or I'm not getting new properties, or I'm overthinking the what and the why. And to have you guys go, okay, kick in the butt. You got this. Get out your head.
Totally.
So that I can. So I'm not to say that, oh, I've got this. It's buttoned down. No, I might slink back on occasion, but I know I've got support. I've got support.
And that's a really great point, because the thing is this, even though you have confidence and forward momentum, it doesn't mean that you can't stumble or take a step back. Right. The self-limiting beliefs that we all have, they're self-limiting to keep us safe. They're not self-limiting to help us thrive, they're to keep us safe. So when you encounter something that makes you feel unsafe, whatever that is, you fall back on what served you for decades, right? Like you've been doing things a certain way, you lived, you're doing well. So as soon as you reach that stress, and it could be, something real or it could be imagined, then you fall back on your bad habits, and you need that support system. And we're thrilled that the Facebook group and Eric and I and the others, Andy, there's a group of people, which is great. But one thing that I've heard you now say a couple of times, and I just want to point it out for your benefit and for anybody listening, is you have to be really mindful of the words that you use. So before we started filming, you used the word problem, and I let it slide. But earlier on video, and you can watch it yourself, you said problem. And I understand what you mean by that, but if you tell yourself it's a problem, then it's a big overwhelming thing to solve, and you don't know the what and the how, and so it's a problem and it's a problem. Instead, substitute something that's like a challenge. It remains problematic, but it's a challenge. And what do we do with challenges? We overcome them, right? Like that's just the language that we use. And so if you, I mean, I always start with challenge, because that's paying respect to the fact that it's a problem. But the best way to get to is where you see challenges as opportunities. And I was just on a Zoom call earlier today where that's what we were talking about. Like, the more challenging something is, the more obstacles, the harder it is, for me, that means there's more opportunity there, because there's fewer people that are going to be able to overcome all of those steps and all of those challenges. And so once I get over that hurdle, it's like an open field and it's mine. It's not competitive. So if everyone's looking for the really easy place and there are no challenges and it's really easy, that may exist. I don't really think it does, but if it does exist, there's no returns. You don't get compensated for that, right? It's just like a free-for-all.
Right.
It's crowded. There's a lot of people there. It's really safe. Everyone's happy. Where you want to spend your time and your energy, if you want to build something of lasting value and be compensated for it, you want it to be really, really challenging, demanding, grueling, time-consuming, energy draining. Your mind is just like, I don't understand. Spend your time there, because when you solve that, you'll be really rewarded, and your life won't be the same, right? It's kind of like when we, on a smaller scale, you're having difficulties getting more bookings in your current place. So we said, let's go to co-host. Right? Now all of a sudden, it's like, wow, that's a whole new thing, but that came with its own challenges. Who do I call? Well, those challenges are replaced with new challenges. Now we've got cleaning ladies, scaling issues, right? There's always challenges, and so don't expect it to be, I turned the corner, life is great now. No, I turned the corner, I grew, I've got new challenges. I've got bigger challenges. You know, I joke with Erica sometimes, you know, the challenges that I face on a daily basis are pretty big. They're enormous, but people don't know, because I've conditioned myself to face challenges and remain even-keeled. To face challenges and see them as opportunities. To face challenges that I actually lose, but I learn from. And then I find the value in that. And so it's just these little word choices and the mindset that help you overcome and reach these new levels.
I don't mind the
so
challenges.
no problems.
No problems. That's a poor choice word. Challenges. I do appreciate the challenges. I need to initially freak out, sky is falling, and then I'm like, okay, how am I going to handle this? How this needs to be handled. But that may even mean seeking out, like bouncing the ideas off of you and Erica, or as I say, Zach Scriven, Andy Chu, Derek Chung. We're always in communication. And I go, okay, what would you guys do to figure this out? Don't want to go approach it that way. Or yeah, man. So sometimes I just have to, you know, get out of my head and then say, how did you guys? Because, excuse me, other people may have had the same problem. Go, oh, I just threw an extra buck at it. I go, oh, okay.
That's the beauty of the community and relationships, right? Because we've never done all of these things before, but on the Facebook group now, we have, I think, 18,000, 19,000 hosts from all over the world. Chances are somebody else has seen this or avoided that or did something different or thought about it differently. And it's really remarkable to have that, the community.
I constantly learn from the group. And they also keep me level. Well, it keeps me level because sometimes I go, nope, that's not the way I'm going to handle it. And then I'll read how somebody, you know, maybe handled it a lot more diplomatically. I'm pretty literal, pretty black and white about some things. And I go, you know what? I need to just handle that differently. And some of the information is very helpful. Good. And I see other great hosts out there doing their thing.
So you're growing now in the co-hosting space.
Which I love.
And what's next for you?
I want to acquire more co-hosting properties. I would like to, Erica asked me over croissants. What was it?
Croissants.
Chocolate croissants.
You know, I'm starving over here.
We're sorry.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm sure you did. We thought about you. Let's save Richard. Nah, he doesn't like that. I'm kidding.
But she asked me what my dream was, what my big dream was, and I told her I'd like to expand on the on serving skydivers. They're great people. I like them to have great accommodations. I, want to be able to be around as many locations as they are. And so I have to think of a way to approach that, to scale that, to manage that when it's out of season, those kind of things. And so that's kind of where my head is while I'm building my co-hosting kingdom.
That's amazing. One of the things that I firmly believe in and I continue to teach on is thematic investing, right? So figure out what your why is and who you want to serve or what geography or, bring it deeper. It's not just here's 4 walls and I'll just host here. So serving a small community that's really passionate about anything is a win because they're going to remain really passionate about that. And if you become like the go-to in anything, it could be skydivers, it could be kiteboarders, it could be equestrian, it doesn't matter what it is. Right. As long as it resonates with you and people are spending a fortune doing that, then you find the best locations to service them in the places that they want to go or will go or are going. And you just have such a huge competitive advantage versus anybody else who's just like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing or why, but like I'm on Airbnb.
Right.
Because what they are doing is competing on price, and price over time goes down, profitability goes down, and then they give up and they sell, and everything swings too far, right? So they probably, in my trading terms, when I was down at the Mercantile Exchange and the Board of Trade, pardon the language, but it's very graphic, but it's really clear. They puke out their position, right? When you have so much pain in something, you're just like, get it off my plate. I'm puking the position out. That's called capitulation, and that often marks a market bottom. When other people are capitulating and puking their positions out, that's a great time for guys like me to go in and be like, they just threw out the baby with the bathwater. Buy the baby, you know? And so it's the opposite. You never want to get into that position. And the way that you avoid being in that position is, you know who you serve, why they're coming there. You give them the best service for what it is that they do. You know, don't try and sell these skydivers ski equipment. They're not skiing. Just give them what they want.
For the record, I don't skydive.
Right. You don't
I don't skydive.
You don't need
I don't
to.
skydive. But I've met such, from all over the world, such incredible people. Skydivers, because they risk their life each time they jump, are so chill as human beings. They're like love, light, and happiness because they're taking their life in their hands with each jump. And everyone who has come through my doors have just been rock stars.
So
just
here's
rock
your
stars.
new homework assignment if you haven't done it already.
I need a pen.
Everybody know this is easy. You'll watch it on YouTube.
Okay.
So
Watch it over and over.
everybody who comes to your place for the next, 3 months or 6 months or however long it takes, ask them, where else do you skydive and what's on your bucket list? Right? So, I've been to this place and this place and this place, but what I'd really like to do when I have enough time or money is go there.
Got it.
And these are the places that you start to investigate.
right.
Regulatory risk, homes, if you
Got
can't
it.
afford them now, reach out to people like you just did, real estate agents that can refer you to people who just bought a home for an investment property, you co-host.
Right.
And now you're not just, I'm CL, I'm a co-host and I'm a superhost. I'm CL, the superhost who also specializes in your demographic.
Right.
I know how to attract and speak to your tribe. I know how to market the property. There's word of mouth. I've got people that are already doing this in Perris and they can't wait to come to your place. So I'm going to send them from Perris to your place. And who's going to hire anybody that doesn't have that story?
Right.
It's a huge competitive advantage.
Now I'm going to go home tonight. Well, actually, in the next couple weeks while I'm on the road, I'm going to start first reaching out to my previous guests, finding out where else they're skydiving, and then start putting that plan into place going forward. Because right now I'm in my slow season. My slow season is November 1st to April 1st. So there's not a lot of skydivers coming out. And what I do in that time is do long-term rents, nurses, and I have a lineman that's staying with me now that repairs all the light poles and that sort of thing. So those, when I have that slow season, just so people know, I fill with long-term, short-term rentals, 30 days, that kind of thing. But I'm going to start reaching out to my previous guests and those going forward with what my homework assignment.
So CL, this has been great. Do you have any stories that you want to share with the audience or any questions that you have of me?
Now that I've met you in person, like I'm all tongue-tied and stargazing.
Stop it. I mean, I bite.
I know. You have all these questions, like I want to ask Richard this and I want to ask, and I'm here and I'm like, so,
You're like, Eric, you want to go get a
You're
chocolate
right.
croissant?
Don't be jelly. Me and Erica go way, we go way back. Off the top, I could kick myself. I know when I leave, I'm going to think of a million things.
Well,
I can't think of
if
anything.
you do think of a million things, we've got a podcast that Eric and I are relaunching, and we're going to give you a phone number. Excellent. Maybe the editor can put the phone number in there now, but if you have questions or anybody listening, please call that phone number for the podcast because we will answer them.
I'm excited.
So you don't have to freak out now, but I'm sure nothing, me, Airbnb,
I came
Erica,
to meet with you both so I could get, I told you, some Rika dust spread on me. Thank you very much. So I could rub elbows, hobnob. And I kind of met the star, Erica,
I
and
know.
kind of, and we just girl talked and talked and talked and talked. And so, then
So like now I'm
yeah, kind of.
I'm gonna one day I'm gonna be on Erica's YouTube channel. I
yeah,
can't wait.
yeah.
It's gonna be
All my
fantastic.
questions are answered, and
well.
yeah.
Here's what I would say.
For the people that are watching this, CL is a prime example of a consummate host, somebody who really cares, that takes this really seriously, and that faces challenges that are not unique to her, that we all have, and they're self-limiting beliefs. They're based in fact, right? She's not imagining that cleaning teams are problematic. They are challenging. They're challenging for all of us. It might be one of the single most challenging things, but I can tell you firsthand, and so too can she, with the right mindset and the right dedication and devotion, perseverance, you overcome it. And what I look to do is turn these challenges into competitive strengths, right? So if I get the best cleaning team in an area and they work for me and I get them working on multiple properties for me, then my competitors that are competing on price are dealing with some of this cleaning teams that maybe, I don't have a lot of turnover, but you told me, you told me you let somebody go, and that's great. It's really important. It's all a relationship and it's a business. So if they're not helping you, they're hurting you, right? Like that's
really important.
And
They're not helping
handle
you,
things
they're hurting you.
fast. Don't let it drag out. Don't get emotional about it. It's business. It's not personal. And if they're not meeting your objective, if they're not getting done what you need done for what you're paying for, then handle it. Don't placate it. You can't worry about,
You know what?
because they're not working as if they need the money. I need someone who, just like myself, who's working as if I need the money and requires excellence of myself. So I expect that of others. And if it's not working, what is it? Hire last, fire fast,
Right.
however that works, and move
Right.
on. It's not personal.
Hire
slow, fire fast, right? And one other thing that you said in that same vein is about all relationships. And Eric and I had a discussion like this not too long ago, which is you said to deal with it in the moment and in real time and quickly. And so one of the things that we learned at the Tony Robbins relationship, and I'd heard it before, is about like never go to bed angry with your significant other, your mate, whatever, partner. Never do that. And we faced something, I don't even remember what the details were, they're unimportant, but we had that dialogue, which is that, no, like, I know we don't really want to talk about this right now, but we should, because we shouldn't just bury it and ignore it and let it, because then it just over time grows. Then it's like, this is now the second time that this has happened, but we didn't talk about it the first, so I didn't know what happened, right? So like, if there's a cleaning type issue, instead of saying, well, I don't have a choice and it's as good as it gets or whatever, in a professional, caring, respectful manner, bring it to their attention. And one of the things that I shared with CL before we went on the video, but I think it bears mentioning now, is try and make it not personal. So what I mean by that is she was sharing with us somebody who did great cleaning, but they liked the furniture in a different layout and they were moving the furniture. And she explained why it couldn't really be done that way and so on. But that was basically CL versus the cleaning lady, and they had differing opinions. And I always make it not personal. So instead of saying, I like the furniture this way, not that you said that, but just by way of example, instead of saying, I like the furniture this way, or this is my furniture, or this is the way it's laid out, just depersonalize it and say, you know what, this is the way it was photographed, and this is what we're doing in our marketing, and this is what people are buying and what they're expecting. And so any change from that could be upsetting, and this is a business and the business pays you, and so let's just keep it this way because that's what we're selling, right? Like if you're selling McDonald's and you're selling burgers, people want to come in there for burgers. They're not necessarily going into McDonald's because they want a salad, although they offer a salad. But you see what I'm saying?
But here's what else you taught me is to not just have one and done. Oh, she moved the furniture, fire her.
Right.
Continue having conversation. Determine how many conversations you plan on having, but have that conversation. Okay, please don't move the furniture. Okay, we need to put the furniture back. Okay, if you move the furniture again. And then I need to have a drop dead date and or decision about after the third conversation or however many you want to have, what I'm going to do. So it wasn't a walk in, furniture move, you're terminated. It's a process, and share the good things with them, you know, the 5 stars and the ratings and what people have said, and just have the open communication and try and develop that relationship.
Yeah, and one of the things
that I'm working on myself, and it's been a big challenge for me, but through self-awareness I'm now actively working on it, is I'm such a believer in humanity and in the good of people that I always believe that people can reform or can come around, or with a proper mentor, coach, guide. Like, I just believe in humanity so much, you know, coming from my background with my parents who didn't receive any formal education, and yet I just have this belief that anybody can do anything given the right opportunities. Right. So I always want to be the provider of opportunities. Right. This short-term rental university channel, where I teach everybody like all of my secrets that I used to carefully guard on Wall Street.
And we appreciate that.
And well, thank you, and I appreciate you. It's about trying to contribute and grow and give people opportunities and change their quality of life. So what I'm working on from a self-awareness perspective is to also realize that I have a limited amount of energy and a finite number of days on this planet, and so I want to spend my time giving opportunities to those that want the opportunities. So if you're having too many conversations with the cleaning lady, even though you believe in her and she's good and she's this and she's that, it may not serve you. And I was having a conversation with somebody in my inner circle where they had a great cleaning lady, but she didn't give them invoices. So they were having concerns about, you know, paying taxes properly. And so they were using a cleaning service that was inferior, but gave them invoices really, you know, timely. And I said, that's the tail wagging the dog, right? Like, let's teach the really good cleaning lady how to give invoices, as opposed to the person who gives invoices teaching them how to clean, right? So like, that was just an ineffective use of their time and energy. And it seems really obvious, you know, from the outside, but when you're in there and you're having those dialogues, it's a relationship, and you know that they need the income and they show up, and their kid was sick and they still came, and like, you have all these things, but at a certain point it's business. And if you're spending your time with that person and they're not advancing, then you're wasting your time, and you could be spending that same amount of time with somebody who is advancing, and you'd be growing your business and you'd be growing them. And so, like, be mindful of the amount of time and energy you invest in others, and make sure that you're getting
a return.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I think what's important, what I walk away with through all of this, is connect, network, reach out. Relationships. Don't be afraid to reach out, though. I think when I inboxed you on Facebook, I was like, oh, I don't want this man to know my life and how bedraggled it is. But I had to get past that to get help, to get the answers I needed, or to get clarity or my head open. So I think it's important, and you know, not to operate in fear.
Right.
And you had put trust out there first, like, hey, you can trust me. To the World Wide Web, not just to me. Like, hey, you can trust me. I'm opening the door. What's your question? So I would encourage people to find somebody they can connect with on a small scale, on a large scale within the group. Get intimate with somebody, because on the group you'll get all kind of responses and answers and Lord knows what else. But try to drill down to see somebody you can connect with who doesn't necessarily agree with your philosophy or thoughts or process, and can get you out of your head, and can help you think of things and move forward.
When you're trying to
grow, the worst and most dangerous thing you can do is surround yourself with yes people.
Exactly.
Right? Like, if somebody's looking to rubber stamp and just saying yes, yes, you don't need that.
Correct.
You're already there.
Correct.
Right? So I intentionally, when I create a team of people, or when I've built the hedge fund business that I worked in, I sought people that had totally different opinions. And then I went one step further. I empowered them to have veto power over me. So if they felt so strongly about an investment not happening because of a risk that I didn't care about, we didn't make that investment. I could have spent a year and traveled the world to find that investment, but then I had my legal team have a veto stamp. I had my compliance team. I had, the operations team. I had the risk team. I had 4 or 5 different people that I gave the same amount of credibility to as me. And the reason I did that was because I know that I have blind spots.
And you don't want somebody who's going to antagonize you.
No.
But you want somebody who's going to say, no, Richard, that's not going to work for these reasons.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's how you grow.
Exactly.
Right? When you see your blind spots, that's how you move past them, and then you have other blind spots, and then you keep growing. But One thing that you shared, and I think it's really important, I just did this with one of my daughters, is when you talk about ask for help and get out of your comfort zone and move beyond that, she wanted a college recommendation from somebody who publicly stated that they don't give college recommendations, right? Like they would be asked by everyone, and so they just don't do it.
Right.
And I said, well, do you have a special relationship? She said, no, but I'm doing really well. I said, well, do you think he would do it for you? Like if he only had to do it for you, do you think? And she's like, yeah, but Dad, he won't do it for anyone. And I said, well, I tell you what, why don't you go up, introduce yourself, let him know how important this class has been for you. He'll know your grade and see what he says. She's like, Dad, no. So I said, you should really try it. And so she went, introduced herself to this professor, told him how much she learned in the class and had real examples. You can't bullshit, right? It's not like, oh, I love it. Like she went up in a thoughtful way, presented herself in a certain way and said, I know that you said you don't do this. I'm hopeful that you would make an exception for me. I've loved your class. And he said, I'd be honored.
Wow.
So like stuff happens.
Yes.
You have to make your own reality. If you just listen to the rules and you play in the sandbox and you've got self-limiting beliefs and Richard doesn't have time for me, the professor doesn't write this one doesn't do that, this doesn't, like, yeah, you're right.
You're right.
You're right. It's not going to happen.
What is it? If you think you're going to fail, you will.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Whether you think you're right or you think you're wrong, you are correct, right? So that's the basic premise is ask and you shall receive.
I asked and I received chocolate croissants with Erica.
Well, I asked and I didn't get anything. I asked and I didn't get anything. All right, so no questions.
Not on camera, no.
Not on camera. Whoa.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Erica, we missing anything? You guys connected for a long time. I was on a couple of calls.
Yeah. I mean, to clarify, actually, I think I want to celebrate and acknowledge the fact that, the question was not what is your big dream, but what does your second journey look like?
Oh, thank you.
And your first one was being an exceptional mother and really focusing on raising an incredible young woman. And so now really embracing and focusing the second journey on you. And I think that, coming up with...
Wait, why don't you come over here and say that?
I didn't realize
Yeah.
that I alluded to
Here.
raising an exceptional young
Here.
woman. But yeah, I did.
So,
You did.
I did.
You
I
absolutely
really
did.
Alex Reed, your mother loves you.
so go ahead. Say it again.
Just that your first journey, you really focused on being an exceptional mom and raising an exceptional, young woman, and I really celebrate that.
Thank you.
And now
It's
the
a
second,
beautiful thing,
it really
right?
is, absolutely. And you did the same, So I want to honor that and celebrate that. And then the second journey, you're focusing on you and coming up with your own brand and figuring out what that all looks like. And I'm so excited, and thank you for the opportunity that we're going to be able to be a witness to that. I think that's
Big
awesome.
time.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
only witness, a cheerleader.
Absolutely.
Also, and we need that. I need that.
Right?
People
We all need that.
You need it.
Yeah, it was really interesting. One of the things that we were talking about over chocolate croissants, which were so yummy. And I did say, I'm really enjoying every bite because I would not be getting away with this if Richard were here. Naughty. But, we talked about the love languages, and we talked about, what are her love languages, what are her daughters, and how, it's really important to me, and, was a topic of conversation over Thanksgiving, and that I'm really cognizant of showing up and loving people correctly and really wanting to be present in that way. And I think that, whether it's for, intimate relationships, whether it's, I love the creativity and the care of, the detail that you leave for your guests. And I think that if you do that, or you invest in, the relationships that you have with your cleaning people and speaking their love language and figuring out how they feel heard,
Right.
and creating a sense of investment for them, that's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
That's
Right,
huge.
right.
That's
I agree.
that's the relationship, and yeah,
And enjoy the journey.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, today's great. Tomorrow's going to be even better.
Crazy. Yes,
Well,
Right.
even better.
I just think, one, thank you for sharing that, because
Yes.
often we don't recall things the same way. So I think the fact that your first journey was about raising your daughter, and now you're on your second journey, which is focused on you, is remarkable. And we all need to do that, right? We all need to be self-aware and value ourselves, right? Like, it's so much about sacrifice and about someone else and kids and so on. One thing that Erica did touch on, and I'd love for you to share with the audience, is what's it called? The shrinklets?
Shrinky dinks.
Shrinky dinks.
Shrinky dinks.
Shrinky dinks.
So back in my day, we used to have something called shrinky dinks where you could draw on plastic and then melt it in the oven and make little things. So for our guests, we make key rings that has our website on it.
And it says, I love PS, right?
P.S. I
Palm
love you.
Springs.
So Palm Springs, I love you. So I'm sure many people know P.S. I love you was a song by the Beatles.
Right.
And I thought, oh, that'd be a great title. Does this title exist? And no one had it for their. I thought, oh, good.
Just for the record, I thought it was a movie.
Okay, okay.
It was a romantic
Yeah,
comedy.
that was it. She's much younger
Right.
than us.
Right.
Yeah,
I know.
okay.
I know.
No shade, just yeah.
Right.
But
The Beatles?
the Beatles, who?
Right.
So that was the spinoff for that, and then I thought, oh, what can I leave with the guests that I can reproduce over and over and over, simply, cost effectively, whatever. I work in jewelry, I make jewelry, and work artistically that way. And I thought, oh, Shrinky Dinks keychain. They can take it if they leave it somewhere. It's our silent salesman. It's got our website on it. Even out of curiosity, people could just look it up and wonder what that is. And so this is what we leave with our guests. Yeah.
I love it. And then while we're sharing, I know this isn't you, but some creative, innovative stuff. This is the map here at the Parker Palm Springs. Again,
this place
just
If you
playful,
ever can
right?
come here, it's so cool.
It's all just like playful
Yes.
and thematic, right? Like little drawings. This is their, I guess, room service menu. But the more
place is awesome.
the more fun you can have, the more creative, the more of your personality. Not only does it connect you to your why and what it is that you're doing in your business, but it attracts the right people. Like if I didn't like this and I wanted to see a real map, this is maybe the wrong place for me. But this is speaking to us, and Erica says this is the best place she's been, and you like it. And so, that's what marketing does. It attracts the right tribe and it repels the wrong. And if you try and please everyone, you please no one. So know who you're going for. I love your theme on continuing to grow and serve the skydiving community. That thematic level of investing is the future of Airbnb. And if you're not thematic, if your theme is I just want to scale as quickly as possible, that's not a theme. That's a losing proposition. Growing intelligently is much better for the long term.
Which I also appreciate, and Eric and I think touched on earlier, is that what I appreciate about you and your style of mentoring and this group is you don't have to have 80 doors in 6 months. If you want to do a property a year, a co-host a year, ease into it, take your time, be happy with one or two.
Exactly.
It's all okay. It's however you want to.
Footsies with me?
That's not me.
Oh.
Just I'm gonna wait till Erica leaves the room, and then I'm trying to get beat up on film.
All right. Well, look, I
Thank
think this
you.
has been amazing, not for the interview, but to meet you face to face and in person. I
guys
mean, I
too.
feel like I know you. It's been 2 years
At
or so,
least.
right? More?
Our thing just came up on Facebook. Our friendship.
What, for what, 2 years?
I think that's
Yeah. So I feel like I'd known you, but it's so amazing to like actually meet you and hug you and welcome you to meet Erica and share you with the community. It's been
Thank you,
fantastic.
guys. Thank you.
So keep doing what you're doing. Your future is bright, and I really appreciate and honor and respect all that you've done, not only for yourself, but for the skydivers and for Perris and for your daughter. And it's just, it's women like you that make this world great. So thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys. If you like this, please go ahead and like the video. Leave your comments below. What do you think? What questions do you have? And as always, subscribe to the channel, friends. Thank you very much. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks so much for watching, but I want to share with you something that's really fantastic. My team and I have been solving one of my problems. You know I'm all about building a brand, and the single best way to build that brand is to develop a relationship with your clients, and you want to get started sooner. So what I did for myself was create my own website tool, one click, and I have my own website. It's customized for me, 4 different templates to choose from. It's absolutely gorgeous, and one click, anyone can do it. And what this allows me to do is to develop relationships with my clients. The sooner the better. You don't want to delay and get started in 6 months or in 2 years. Do it now in 2020, get your best foot forward and start to own those relationships. So go ahead and click in the description below to be notified upon release. January 2020, we're releasing it to the wait list only, first at the best price ever. So if you want to take control of your financial destiny, click below. One click later, you got your website tool.